Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you once again for tuning in to another action-packed show this week, as we're going to be diving deep with the subject matter when inspiration strikes. Also in this week's show, we have the channeling, which will see me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their communications through and their wisdom. And then later on in the show, we will have this week's energy forecast reading to hopefully help you navigate your way through the course of this week ahead. So without further ado, let's get started. As I say, we're talking about when inspiration strikes. First of all, I'd like to inspect that word inspiration, meaning in spirit, in alignment with frequency, with vibrational energy. And when we get into that alignment, we have the opportunity to connect to the infiniteness of the universe. And this includes ideas, this includes things to help us make our life a lot more easier. Ideas to help other people make their lives easier as well. So in many respects, the word inspiration is saying when we become in alignment with our spirit, with source energy. Now, in order to get in this vibrational alignment, we need to create sacred moments of tranquility within our life. Now, I'm not talking about taking 5 months out of your year and just isolating yourself away from everybody. No, not at all. What I'm referring to is making moments within your day, whether this is 5-10 minutes, if you have the luxury of time, maybe an hour, if you can spare that, of just having that time to rest your mind and get into that calm state of being where you're just living in that moment. You're not allowing the rogue thoughts come up into your mind. These thoughts can be related to your past or maybe insecurities about your future. We're not focusing on those. In these moments of tranquility, we're just being in that moment. And I always use the example of most of us go to the lavatory at least twice a day for around 5 minutes a time, maybe longer, depending on your circumstances. Well, in that time, why not multitask? Why not take that opportunity to get into that state of tranquility where we clear our mind, we just focus on the now, we just allow ourselves to be in that moment. And by being in this vibrational alignment, this is where inspiration, ideas can come to us. By us uncluttering the mind, and being here now will allow us to connect with those frequencies. So many inventors, many scientific people have had inspiration when they've been on the lavatory, when they've been doing these sort of things where they're taking that time out from the hustle and bustle of life. And it's when they least expect it, again, where they're quietening the mind, that these ideas come in. So in order to recognize ideas, you need to notice the subtle, influential ideas that you are being given. In other words, ideas, things that you wouldn't necessarily think about yourself. You would never have thought of that in a million years. And with you being in this space of peace and tranquility, even if it is for 5 minutes, that gives the universe, the energy, the source energy, that opportunity to implant that energetic download into your mind, into your vibration. Now, when it is there, when inspiration strikes, it's usually very, very quick. And we get a flash. Some people call it a flash of inspiration. Very, very quick. Now it's up to us, obviously, to focus on that thought, to follow that thought and to hold that vibrational alignment with that thought. And by doing that, by exploring that thought further, focusing your time and attention on that thought, then this is when that level of excitement starts to enter into our energetic being there as well. Now, don't resist this energy, because when you resist this energy, that's when that inspiration will wane and it will go away from you, and you'll forget about that idea that was gifted to you by the universe. It's only when we follow that line of inquiry with our vibration, with our attention, and we're holding that excitement as we observe that thought unfolding there. And when we do that, this is when you will feel the inclination to take notes, to maybe write something down on paper or on an electronic device. Or you may feel that inspiration to actually speak it into a dictaphone so that you can revise that idea, that inspiration at a later date when you can get back into that zone of peace and tranquility to appreciate that vibrational alignment once more. So by writing these ideas down, this gives you that opportunity, like I say, to go back and revise them and get into that headspace, get into that vibrational alignment with that idea. And by doing that as well, it allows you to visualize that idea once more, to feel that excitement as you're reading through your notes about that initial idea. And it's upon us holding that vibrational alignment, that excitement, that passion, that enthusiasm, that will bring more inspiration for us to then start and put those ideas into some sort of physical action moving forward. But what I would suggest is that you keep your ideas, your inspiration to yourself. Don't go sharing these ideas out here, there, and everywhere. Simply because other people's opinions of those ideas may not be the same as yours. And this will dilute that frequency, dilute that passion, that enthusiasm, that energy behind that inspiration, to the point where that inspiration will never be birthed because of all that lower based negative energy that's been placed around it. So by keeping your ideas to yourself, what you're doing is you're letting them flourish without them being diluted by any external influences. So you're taking that sacred time out of your day, again, reviewing your notes, getting into that vibrational alignment, feeling that excitement. And then when you're in that alignment, you start and get other ideas that are connected. In other words, little steps, more breadcrumbs of inspiration will come to you. These will eventually lead you to putting them into action, one step at a time. And when you complete one task, then you'll get the passion and the enthusiasm for where you need to go next with it. Now, I'm talking very general when I say ideas, inspiration, because it could mean anything to any one individual. It could mean making your life a lot easier, making it flow. It could be related to work or an invention. It could be related to your passions. Maybe that's music or poetry or writing. It could relate to anything. So that's why I'm generalizing this topic here, so that you can at least appreciate what it takes to hold that vibrational alignment with that inspiration, so that you can birth it into your reality if you feel that inclination to do so. Because after all, we all have free will, and it's entirely our choice whether we focus our time and attention on these things or not. But I'm just sharing that element of this process where when you do focus on this alignment, these ideas, then great things can occur. So after you've done that, putting your inspiration into action. Now, this can be a very, shall we say, trusting time where you're a little bit anxious, you're a little bit nervous, you don't know the wheres, the whys, the whens, the whats, the whos, and the hows. All of those questions will be racing round your mind on the brink of when you're putting these inspirational ideas into action. Now, this is where you have to grow a backbone, so to speak. You have to focus on that vibrational alignment with that inspirational idea. And you have to be, I would say, I'd use the term pig-headed, meaning that you're not going to move. You're going to be very stubborn. You're not going to let any other influences, including your subconscious thought programmings coming to the surface, move you off of that pathway. So when I'm talking about that, I'm obviously referring to the wheres, the whys, the whats, the whens, the whos, the hows, all of those questions that our mind naturally creates every time that we encounter something new into our life, or where we're just about to embrace change. So you'll notice all of those things, and it is up to you, obviously, but I would certainly recommend that you're aware of those questions, aware of them, you know they're there, but you're not going to give them your energy. You're not going to give them your time and attention. Instead, you're going to go into that state of bliss and alignment, clearing your mind and just focusing on your initial idea, alongside looking at your notes, getting into that energetic alignment, feeling that beautiful energy with that as well. And when you focus on that, then you'll get the courage and you'll feel that surge of energy pushing you forward, birthing this idea into action. And it can be a very liberating feeling when we do this, because we're trusting every step of the way, aren't we? We're feeling that flow of that idea, that inspiration, that energy. And we're also removing any blockages that are standing in our way from achieving that. And like I say, the way that we go about doing that is simply staying focused on the task at hand. Anything that stands in the way is merely a test for you. It's a test to see if you actually want this. Do you have that patience? Do you have that tenacity? Have you got that resilience? All of these blocks that stand in your way are invitations, tests if you like, to see if you have what it takes to follow through with your initial ideas. So never see it as a negative thing. They're just little tests along the way, just to invite you. Now you can either carry on here, but if you're wanting to carry on, you've got to hold that faith. You've got to hold that patience, and you've got to hold that vibrational alignment and that passion with that initial idea, that initial inspiration that you received. And when you do that, you'll be rewarded. You'll be surprised at how things work out. It will be a lot easier than what you anticipated. Things will show up in your life. People will show up in your life. Opportunities will show up in your life when you hold that resolve, when you hold that vibrational alignment, and you have that trust and faith. And they will come in at the right place at the right time. So always hold that in your heart. And when you do that, when you hold that vibrational alignment, like I say, everything will be drawn to you. Everything that you need in order to accomplish that task, in order to bring that inspiration through, the people, the places, all of those questions that you were asking yourself in your mind that you weren't giving the time of day to, all of those questions will naturally be answered to you by the universe when you start and focus wholeheartedly on the task at hand. So it's a very interesting process. It almost goes hand in hand with manifestation, doesn't it? When we get inspiration, when we get an idea, that's like the seed being planted in our conscious mind, and also the seed being planted in our energetic body. Now, just like using the analogy of a seed, if we're wanting that seed to grow and flourish and to bear fruit or to bear flowers, then we have to water it. We have to nurture it. We have to plant it well. Make sure that those roots are stable, have a firm footing. And so all of those things we can adopt and bring into our scenario, whatever that may be, whatever we're trying to birth from an inspirational idea into our reality. We've got to nurture it by giving it time, giving it attention, not diluting that energy, by nurturing it, not letting weeds grow around it, taking that energy off of it. In other words, other people, external influences, absorbing the energy from that inspirational idea that you've received. So making sure that you're keeping your surroundings nice and tidy, keeping your mind clean and tidy, nurturing it, watering it. The analogy I would use with that is obviously you giving it your time and attention to make that inspirational item grow and expand, taking those notes, writing things down, revisiting them, feeling that excitement, seeing the visualizations, aligning the two. And when you do that, and you continue to do that, regardless of whether the sun shines or whether it rains, then you will experience these beautiful inspirations coming into your present moment. So I'd like to give you a few examples in my life where I've gone through this process many times before, and I'm sure many of you that are listening to this broadcast right here, right now, have gone through this before in your life. But it's only when we focus and look and analyze the process, because we take it for granted. It's only when we look at it, we realize, well, actually, if I made these little tweaks and adjustments, maybe things would have worked out a lot easier for me, a lot better for me with my ideas, with this inspiration. So one of the examples I'd like to share with you, many years ago now, I had the inspiration that I'd love my own recording studio. And I had these visualizations. I was seeing the equipment in my mind's eye. I was getting the ideas of clients, the services that I could provide, and all of this. I was getting very excited. I kept it to myself until eventually I went down that avenue of writing these things down. And I was drawing things down, visualizing what this studio dimensions would look like, the sizings, what would be in there, the coatings in the studio, the soundproofing. I was visualizing everything, the wiring, the equipment, and I was writing these things down and drawing them, designing it. And I was holding that frequency. I had no idea how this could come into form. I had no idea how the finances would be there to make this come into form. But what I did do is, with that excitement, I kept it to myself there, and I used to print off lots of equipment, the equipment that I was seeing in these inspirational ideas, and I'd print them off from the internet. I'd cut them out and I'd put them in what I would describe as a scrapbook, and I would stick them in there. And every time I was inspired about another piece of equipment, I would find it, print it out, stick it in the scrapbook. And I would review this scrapbook on a daily basis. And I'd take time out of my day just by myself there to, again, go into this frequency, this alignment vibrationally, feel that excitement, feel that bliss in that experience. And I would visualize myself holding that piece of equipment, the studio equipment, using it in conjunction with the work I'd be doing in the studio. And I was visualizing it where it would be in the studio. At this point, there was no studio. It was all in my mind. It was all in the inspiration. So I was doing this on a regular basis, and I'd made some sort of loose idea in my mind, and I'd drawn these down onto paper, that where I was living at the time, there was the potential there. We had a garage that wasn't connected to the house there, and it was an old rickety garage. Now something just came over me and thought, well, actually, what if we were to have that garage removed and in its place have a longer building, similar dimensions to the garage, but longer lengthways. So that way I could have a live room and a control room, and that could be the studio. So I began to get excited about that prospect. Again, I was doing sketches, drawings. I'm no architect or anything like that, but I was just sort of replicating the ideas that I was being gifted in my mind, and I was working out the dimensions. At that point, I thought, you know what, I'm going to get the tape measure out. And I got the tape measure out. I went outdoors and I started to do a few measurements. And then I got the inspiration, well, actually, this could potentially be a reality. This could actually fit here, these inspirations I'm getting. So at that point, this feeling was gaining momentum. I was gaining more excitement. I was getting more visualizations. It felt like it was almost here. I could taste, I could touch it, I could live it, I could experience it, even though it wasn't in my physical reality. At this point, I had a discussion with the family about it, and then there was an opportunity that arose where we received some, shall we say, inheritance money. Now, before that arrived, I had no idea how this could have come into fruition. I had no idea how this would have ever happened. But the level of passion and enthusiasm upon me sharing this with the family inspired them actually to say, well, yeah, it would be a great idea. Why not? Let's look into it. And so we employed an architect. They came down, they did the drawings, they did all the plans and everything like that. And actually seeing it on paper, professionally drawn and everything, I was like, yes, this is it. It's happening. It's happening. And so we employed a builder. Again, the funds were provided for. We had it built. And then at that stage, we was left with a shell to that studio. So none of the internal work had been done, apart from the electrics. So at this stage, me and my late father, we started lagging it. In other words, we was soundproofing it. We was putting double walls in there for additional soundproofing. We was putting all the acoustic tiling foam on there as well. Everywhere, every inch of that building internally was filled with this foam. And what that did is it deadened the sound. So me and my late dad did all that, and we were so chuffed to bits. You couldn't hear a pin drop in there, nor could anybody from the outside of that building hear anything. You could play a drum kit in there and nobody would know outside. You couldn't hear a thing. It was just going so perfect to plan. Me and my father did all of the internal work. We did all of the studio furniture. We made them to fit. We started to then fit all of that. And then whilst we was building this, because those finances had come in, I had the opportunity of ordering those pieces of equipment that I'd visualized many, many months ago about having in the studio, and they began to arrive. They kept arriving every other day, these bits of equipment. And whilst we was constructing the inner workings of the studio there. So this was a very magical time as it all started to come into form. And what a great feeling that is when you can see all of this visualization coming in, and actually it worked out better than what I originally, the plans that I originally had. It was perfect. Mood lighting in there. And then I began to record bands in there, had singers, recorded spiritual music, meditation music in there. So everything started to come in alignment. And that all came from that initial thought, that initial inspiration. And it was down to the fact that I nurtured that inspiration. And I allowed that excitement to build and build and build and build. And when it reached a crescendo, then those finances found me, if you know what I mean. I didn't go looking for it. They found me. And so that was wonderful in itself. So that was just one of the examples I'd like to share with you. Another example I'd like to share with you is songs. Now, as you know, I'm a musician as well and a producer. And so I used to have this, I still do now, not as frequent as I used to do, but when I was working my day job, I'd be there working away. The next minute I'd hear this melody in my head and I'd start humming it whilst I'm working. The next minute I start getting words to fit that melody. So in between my job, I'm there writing these words down. I'm humming this melody into my dictaphone to record that and review it later. And throughout the course of the day, I managed to craft a song. And this happened every other week. I got to get a song coming in the same fashion. And so I'd record it, write it down, and then I'd review it later when I had time to get in that headspace. And when I did, obviously it all made sense. It all came into alignment. Then the music started to come in the studio that corresponded with the lyrics. And initially, by holding that excitement, keeping it to myself and working on that inspiration privately, again, following that energy trail there, it led to those initial inspirations becoming fully fledged songs that were released, that were used, that were put out there into the world, were birthed there. And there's no greater feeling for anybody that's working on projects, whether you're a musician, a writer, poet, whatever it is, when you first have that initial idea and you nurture it, you show it that love and respect that it deserves, you hold that vibrational energy and you keep that energy to yourself. And then when it gets birthed into reality, there's no greater feeling. You feel so accomplished, so proud. And so grateful the fact that you did listen, because it's so easy when we get these inspirational ideas, like with the song ideas, I could have quite easily carried on working, doing what I was doing, and ignored that melody and ignored those lyrics that were gifted to me for that particular song. I could have ignored it quite easily, but I chose not to. I chose to honor that inspirational idea, record it, write it down very quickly, and then review it at a later time when I had that availability to do so. So there's another example for you that I've experienced in my life. And so it's a beautiful thing to actually experience when we nurture an idea and we respect the process and allow it to grow and have that trust and faith, allowing it to be birthed into our reality. It's a beautiful thing and a treasured thing to actually happen. So I just wanted to show and illustrate this to you today and bring it to your attention a little bit more, and just so that you understand the process and that you can nurture these ideas when they are given to you by the universe. Well, in a moment, we're going to move into the next segment of the show, which is this week's channeling, which sees me becoming a vessel in order for spirit to bring their communications through. Now, I love this part of the show because for me, I listen back to it upon you listening back to it for the very first time, because I'm unaware of what's being said whilst the channeling's coming through. So it's always a big surprise for me to listen back and learn the lessons that spirit are bringing forward. Also, as you know, as I've said before, it takes a lot of discipline in order to connect with this vibration and keep myself clear and be that vessel for spirit to bring their communications through for you. So anyway, sit back, relax, take some notes if you want to, and enjoy this week's channeling from the world of spirit.
Hello, thank you for allowing us to come through today. We have a wonderful wonderful communication to share with you. We're talking on the topic of love, romantic love, universal love, and also soulmate connections. What we're referring to is the twinings of souls and the crossing of paths, so that each soul, individual soul, can excel in all of their endeavors within their lives. These soul connections were preordained, predetermined before you came into your earthbound incarnation in order for you to have an upgrade in your biological, psychological, emotional, and energetic bodies. This is why some of you that are going through relationships will find that you'll reach a crescendo within that relationship, and it will go one of two ways. It will either bond stronger together, or it will simply separate into two separate parts. But both of those separate parts will be enriched by having the experience. There will be no remorse, there will be no animosity or any negativity towards all parties in these forms of relationships. However, there will be a definitive break, and that definitive break will ensure that all of these increments have been installed and all of the experiences that were needed to have in that moment were had. And so by us sharing this, we want you to know that those of you that are going through this within your life, where you're finding yourself ending relationships or relationships coming to an end, we wish to assure you to see the utmost brighter side of that situation and understand the bigger picture of the scenario. The bigger picture is that everybody benefits from you having that union. Everybody is uplifted, both energetically, emotionally, spiritually. And everybody will go about their own way, shall we say, expanding and growing in ways that they couldn't have done so until that sacred union had occurred within their timeline, within their life. So never see this as a negative thing, see it as a positive thing, and a part of your pathway, a part of your journey of unfoldment, relies upon these interactions and these soul connections so that you can blossom and grow. We also want you to know that upon blossoming and growing, you will have another level of love and respect for yourself. We're not referring to you being egotistical or self-centered or arrogant in any way. We're talking about you having an appreciation of your own worth, your own divinity, and your own purpose. When things start to flow, you'll notice a dramatic change within your life. You'll notice that things will start to sparkle and shine. Obstacles will be removed from you energetically, and you will have a flow state within your vibration. Some will call this the Midas touch. It will seem that everything that you focus your attention on turns to gold, or is heightened in vibration in some small way. You'll also be aware that there's going to be dramatic changes within your environment as a consequence of you having these interactions with one another. Vibrations again will be aligned, heightened. There will be a new level of understanding. So our point being is never underestimate the value in these circumstances and situations connected to relationships, soulmate relationships. Doesn't mean you have to stay together forever as an eternal partnership, but what it does mean is that a heightening, a vibration, a change within each of yours perception will have been changed as a result of having that sacred, divine union. We'd like to also talk to you about the universal love that is interwoven within each and every one of us. Now, this universal love is the glue that binds everything together, everything and everyone. It is the magic that makes things what they're meant to be. Now, you all have this within you. Some of you are more aware of it than others. Those that aren't aware of it, this vibrational magnetic quality is actually operating behind the scenes on your behalf. But when you become aware of this vibration, you then become in alignment with it, and things within your life will start to flow a lot more fluidly, with less restraints, with less, shall we say, irritations along the way. There will be lessons to be learned, but they will seem like fun lessons in comparison to how you used to perceive these struggles within your life. And they will seem like fun because when you tap into creativity and the universal love, you will instantly know a way how to solve that puzzle, how to move beyond that circumstance with ease and grace and flow. And no longer will you find yourself being held back by these incidents. When you get to this level of understanding, you will know that you have, shall we say, passed with flying colors on your pathway. And with being in this vibration, life will become a lot more rosier for you, as you will also be communicating to others a way of how they too can embrace this level of being. It is in with each and every one of you. It is in your grasp. So listen to the vibration. Your subconscious programming will want to try and infuse and irritate you to thinking that you have to behave a certain way. You will have to react a certain way, or in an actual fact, you just have to be. Be in the moment, feel the energy, connect with frequency, and you'll feel the bliss and the beauty in each and every moment of your life. We'd also like to talk to you today about giving that love to others. That unconditional love and healing. Now, many of you may know, many of you may not know, that wherever you happen to be, mentally, emotionally, vibrationally, physically, you emit a frequency band signal, an energy field. And that energy field is like a beacon of light, a beacon of love and healing, goes out into the environment in which you're placing your attention. This can be in any direction of time. As we've said many occasions before, time is merely a human construct, and there is no such thing. All there is now. And so whenever you place your attention, your vibration, that is where you're going to place this healing, love, and energy. So we wanted to share that with you in order to let you know that you're giving, you're a very giving individual. Those people that are listening to this transmission, you're giving of these high vibrational frequencies wherever you happen to be focusing your attention on. So when you're feeling that love and relaxation in your life, this is what's occurring. That's amplified and is being sent out to the environments in which you're spending your attention on. We thank you so much for listening to us having this communication with you, and we're now going to pass you over to another communicator who wishes to exchange a few pleasantries with you. We look forward to communicating with you soon. Goodbye for now. There's something to be said about love, isn't there? And the way it makes you feel, the way it makes you feel heightened and makes you feel calm and relaxed, and everything changes in your life when you're in the vibration of love. And you don't have to necessarily be in a relationship to feel the full strength of this vibration. When you're in that level of understanding and compassion within yourself, you begin to emit a frequency like the previous communicator was alluding to. And this frequency allows you to see things differently, allows you to see the magic, the beauty, and the appreciation in everything and everyone around you. And so with having that communication, great things can be exchanged as a result. Great benefits. You see the bigger picture. You see the story unfolding in a more meticulous and positive way. So everybody benefits when you get into the vibration of love, of universal love. So we wanted just to illustrate that with you, with this communication. Well, we hope you find this of an inspirational quality, and that you can have a think about things, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're single, whether you're married, whatever your circumstance is. I just want you to consider the baseline of what love is. And what love is frequency, is energy, that state of feeling in alignment with all that is, the universal energies, that feeling of lightness, that feeling of fun and laughter, joviality. That is the vibration of love, the vibration of creativity and unfoldment and finding answers to riddles, problems that have kept you stuck in your life. Love is that answer. And so by understanding this, we apologize. There's many adjustments changing to the vessel and the voice, as you can probably tell. There are multiple communicators coming through in this session. So you will hear different accents and different tones of voice as each communicator is allowed one moment in time to come forward. But for now, we thank you for listening. We now like to hand you over to listen to some sound healing frequencies to help you get into that vibration of love. Thank you for listening.
Wow, what an incredible transmission there from the world of spirit in that channeling. fascinating to hear all about that. And I'm sure that we can all relate to all of those subjects that were mentioned in that broadcast there. I find it fascinating that they spoke in some level of detail about romantic love and soul connections there. This is something that's not spoken about enough of, in my opinion. So it was nice to hear them deep diving and giving us that sort of food for thought, really, that when we do go through a relationship or a soulmate connection, that there is a higher good purpose at stake with this. And sometimes, because we're so embroidered in the situation, we don't often see the bigger picture. So it was nice hearing that upon going through these circumstances in our lives, whether we stay with that partner or whether we part company with that partner, then both parties will be experiencing a level of energetic upgrade, also learning to grow a little bit more with their soul connection on their own individual soul paths, which is something that they wouldn't be able to do hadn't it have been for that relationship that they'd gone through. So there's some sort of soul agreement that has taken place in order for both parties to ascend and grow energetically, emotionally, physically as well, and mentally. So that was interesting to hear about that. And the fact that when we've gone through these encounters, these experiences, that we start to see, when we've let go of some of those attachments, we start to see the good in the situation. We see the blessings, which in turn, when we hold that positive vibration, allows us to understand our own self-worth, giving ourselves that time, that energy, those emotions, that vibration of love back to ourselves, where we can blossom and grow and understand where we're at in our present moment on our life's journey there. So without these encounters, a lot of these things wouldn't have actually come into place. So very, very interesting communications indeed there. Also, it allows us to be in the flow, in the universal flow, connecting with that energy when we connect with a high vibrational alignment to love. And sometimes we go through the catalyst or the vehicle of being in a romantic relationship that allows us to vibrate a little bit higher, which in turn allows us to connect with the universal energies there as well. So I do like that. And the fact that when we are in alignment with the universe, we can then manifest with positive intention, with clear intention, and just be present and observe those things coming into our now moment reality. Again, going back to what we were saying and what Spirit was saying, without these interactions, we wouldn't be at the next run of the ladder, energetically speaking. So there's something to be grateful for in a relationship, whether you're continuing in that romantic relationship, that soul agreement, that partnership, or whether you've parted ways. This absolutely lots to be grateful for with that exchange there in energy. Also, it gives us that changed perception, doesn't it? Allowing us to see the greater good in everything. When we take that step back, when we understand that hadn't it had not been for this situation, we wouldn't have learned and grow at the speed that we have done, having gone through that. So also heightened awareness, our sensitivity increases, doesn't it, as well? So beautiful, absolutely beautiful transmission there from Spirit. I did like the sound healing at the end there, which to me made me feel really calm in myself. I'd got tingles down my spine upon listening back to that. I felt lighter in my vibrational sense as well. And I noticed that the pressure in the forefront of my head had been removed upon listening to that as well. My throat started to relax and that pressure and tension removed from there. And I was also noticing emotions coming up to my eyes there, as if I was going to emit a tear in some way. Very, very interesting that sound healing was for me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to move on to the next segment of the show, which is this week's energy forecast reading. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this energy forecast reading. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday, the 26th of June, 2023. Now, those of you that watched me work before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers and also consult the wisdom of the angel tarot cards. So what I'm about to do is just shuffle the pack, and I'm going to allow a card to come out at random for this week's energy forecast reading. And right on cue, one's just done that. So this is your card for this week's energy forecast reading. Now I'm going to link into the vibration of this card. First of all, my guides are saying this week is going to be an exciting one for most of you that are watching this. And they use that term, most of you, because it's all down to perception. There's going to be things that are going to be changing your life for the better. And those that are paying attention to their feelings, to these little nuances that are occurring in their life, will tap into that vibration. And when you tap into that vibration of goodness, of positivity, that's when you'll attract more of this for you to be grateful for. Now, there will be people that will be watching this that won't be able to, for whatever reason, to connect with that positive vibration. The opportunity is always there for us to do that, but some people will find it difficult. And if that's the case, then those individuals will also find a little bit of angst, a little bit of anger coming to the surface. So this week is going to be a mixed bag of emotions for most of you that are watching this. And I do feel it's all down to personal interpretation of what you're feeling emotionally. So pay attention to your emotions this week, as they will be the answers to your prayers once you tap into that vibrational energy there. Also this week, I feel as though there's a need for you to communicate more openly and clearly. Don't worry about the responses from others, the feedback from others. Just let that truth flow through you. Once you do this, you'll feel in alignment with those high vibrational energies that we speak of. There's going to be little niggling situations that come up to you this week. And I feel as though these are unresolved issues that you've maybe brushed under the carpet, and you've kept calm and you've carried on. However, you haven't dealt with them fully. So watch out for these coming up to the surface. All you need to do is acknowledge them and then let them go, and there'll be no repercussions once you've done that. I sense also there's going to be a need for you to watch your eating with your physical diet this week. There's going to be food that's going to be triggering you, making you a little bit more hyperactive than you usually are. Now, if this is the case with you, then obviously you need to make those tweaks and amendments within your diet so that you're not fully charged with this energy, because otherwise it will have an impact on your adrenaline rushes, and that can cause untold anxieties further on in the future. So make sure that you're keeping all these in check and in balance. Can you also keep your eye on where you're going within your life? It's very easy to get carried away with how good things are happening, moving in the flow of things. But when we're in that happy vibration, there is that opportunity for us not to be in the present moment. And with this being the case, it's just telling you to keep your eye on the ball, keep yourself grounded and be present. There's nothing wrong with going with the flow. There's nothing wrong with being happy and high vibrational, obviously. But just keep your eye in the present moment, and then that way you'll have that level of, shall we say, control on your life. Also, I sense within this week there will be an element of your life that is slightly out of balance, and I feel as though that it's to do with working too hard, and that you need to take a little bit of time back for yourself, and in order to recalibrate, in order to have that space and time for inspiration that's going to make your life a little bit more easier than what it has been. And I say easier, I'm talking about in terms of where your time is split, where your energy is split, and also where your finances are split as well there. So watch out for that. So let's turn over the card for you for this week. At the top of the card, we've got number 8. So I'd like you to research the angel number of number 8, as that will give you additional support and information. And then it says justice underneath it as well. So I feel as though it's talking about things being in balance. It's talking about everybody wins. A win-win-win scenario. That's what you're looking for this week. If it doesn't tick all of those boxes, then don't commit your energy or time to a situation that isn't a win-win-win for all. Otherwise, it will end up being unbalanced for you within your life. At the bottom of this card, it reads fairness, the law, karma. With that being said, it's also talking about, again, a win-win-win situation, isn't it? Karma, that's a lesson, isn't it? I mean, what you don't get right in any situation is there to serve you, is there to give you a lesson, is there to teach you. so that you can ascend and grow. So don't necessarily see karma as a bad thing. People talk about it as if it's a bad thing. Not necessarily. It's a lesson. It's a lesson to help you progress, to grow, and also to flourish within your life. So just go through that. Around the edge of the card, we've got this color of purple. That indicates you being protected spiritually this week. Also indicates a lot of spirit communication around you. So spirit are influencing you. They are trying to put the inspiration into your mind. Taking that time out, setting time aside just to sit in the present moment with no activities whatsoever will allow you to hear this inspiration coming in. Into the artwork, we've got this beautiful divine feminine angelic being there. As you can see, she's looking life straight in the eye there. She's not messing about. Her third eye is glowing, is resonating there. So that's talking about inspiration coming in. It's talking about projecting your intentions out into the ether there as well. Also looking at her with her wings facing down, that indicates a time for rest and a time for inaction, which will give you that opportunity to connect, to be inspired, to create, to come up with all those beautiful ideas that are going to help you moving forward within your life. She's also holding a sword and some scales there. So a sword would indicate cutting energetic cords, emotional cords to maybe past situations that aren't serving you in your present and future moments. And don't feel guilty about doing this, because you're paying it forward to your future self. You're making sure that you have no ties, no energetic baggage, so that you can move forward with ease and grace and fairness. So again, everybody wins. You'll be helping others by cutting those cords as well, because they will be able to do the exact same thing. Now, the scales represent, obviously, fairness represents balance. And like we were saying earlier, it's about you balancing your life. You know, how hard are you working? How hard are you playing? That work, family, and pleasure time needs to be addressed this week. As you'll find, if you don't address it, you will be feeling burnt out. So make sure that you're paying attention to how you're feeling emotionally. Look at where you're at in your life. Take that time out to reassess there as well. Now, what is interesting is that there's a lot of gold color around this. Gold color is a brilliant color. It indicates communication, clear communication, both transmitting and receiving of energy as well. So watch out how you're receiving communications from people, and don't get the wrong end of the stick. In other words, don't hear 2 and 2 and make 6. In other words, be present, listen to the information that you're receiving, and then act accordingly. Not react, act accordingly. Trust your vibrations. There's a gold halo around this, so you're presenting your thoughts into the ether there as well. So there's a lot to take in this week. Some beautiful vibrations. It's telling you to address your sensitivity as well. So I hope that aligns with you for this week's energy forecast reading. Thank you so much for liking, hearting, commenting, and sharing. If you've enjoyed what you've seen on here, and you would like to buy me a coffee, then there will be a link in the description, so please head over to that. If you would like to place a reading, booking with myself or any other of my services, then please head over to my website, which is www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium, and arrange your booking with me there. In the meantime, please join me every Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on my radio show, which is From Beyond with Glenn Boddice on pulsetalkradio.com. In the meantime, have a blessed week, everybody. Take care. Bye for now.
Well, it looks like we're in for a treat this week with what was said in that forecast reading. It looks like we've got a lot of inner work to do as well by the sounds of things, and giving ourselves back that level of patience and time. Thank you once again for listening to this week's show. If you've enjoyed it and you would like to share any of your encounters, any of your stories of paranormal, personal development or spiritual growth, then please contact me at www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, or you can email me at glennboddice@live.co.uk. It would be wonderful to hear your interactions and share some of your encounters with the listeners on the show. In the meantime, whatever you're doing, have a great week, and I look forward to your company, same place, same time, next Monday, 4 p.m. Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to glennboddicespiritualmedium.com.